Good morning, everyone. I'm really sorry to keep you waiting for 5 minutes. We had a little technical glitch and we couldn't hear Tinu. And seeing that this is a conversation with Tinu, that really wouldn't have worked out too well.
Probably not. Hi, everyone. This is Sally's being nice. This is totally my fault. I apparently don't know how to use technology.
Oh, well, us technologists, it's like, I don't know. I always refer to myself as a techno-blonde.
Oh, that's probably better. I'm going to start copying you.
Oh, there we go. All right, so we're going to talk about online newsrooms and digital content hubs. Are they the same thing? Are they different things? Should they be the same thing? Should we have one? Should we get rid of the old one? Do we need a new one? So these are all the things we're going to talk about today. I was at the PR News 2020 conference in the SEO Bootcamp 2 weeks ago in San Francisco. And I was interested to hear that 2 or 3 other speakers brought up the same subject. So let's jump right in and have a look at what's going on in this space. So just to give you a little introduction, I think most of you that are on know who I am, but that's some of my stats. I've been pounding this digital drum since 2000. Can't believe it's 14 years.
Right.
And my blog is proactivereport.com, so if you're interested, you can read there. I post fairly often. And that started 11 years ago. And I did the very first session on digital PR ever at a PRSA conference back in 2004. So we've been at this for a while. And the lovely Tinu, we're welcoming her today. I work a lot with Tinu, and she helps me with several of my clients. So here's
lots of fun.
Yeah. So right now she's the inaugural Women's Leadership Fellow at Hot Mamas Project. Do you want to tell us anything about Hot Mamas, Tinu, quickly?
Hot Mamas Project houses the largest case study of women's success stories in the world. You can find them at hotmamasproject.com. I do a lot with their editing and their SEO and things like that.
Right. So let's take a look at the current media landscape. And these were 2 statements that were made.
Sally, my slides aren't advancing.
They are not? Wow. Okay, hold on a second.
There we go. I can see them now. Thank you.
Well, okay. So you missed our beautiful faces. What do you think of that?
Oh, that's just a tragedy.
Oh, well, tragedy. So let's just think about this, what's going on in the media landscape, because, oh, excuse me, this thing is being very backward. I have to get rid of that.
You're catching it for me. You see the technology problems, they're contagious, and now I've given it to you. Yes.
So the Pew State of the Media report a couple of years ago made these 2 statements, which I thought were pretty profound. They said the one factor that has most impacted news in the last decade, and they were talking about from 2000 to 2010, the biggest influence in the news business was search.
I would not have guessed search.
But I can see why they say that, Tinu, because if you think back to before Google came along and before there was Google News and Yahoo News and even AOL News was there for a while.
Yeah.
We were kind of stuck with, if you were in LA, you read the LA Times, and if you were in DC, you read the Washington Post, so on. It was very local.
That is true.
And suddenly search made it possible for us to see any news from anywhere. And I've seen an interview with the guy who at that time, Jim Brady, who was the Washington Post editor at that time, and he said that search actually changed them from being a local newspaper to an international news organization, and that you were then
that's
fighting.
Quite an advantage.
Yeah, so you see, but the thing also is you're then fighting everybody.
Yeah, and everybody who may not have their facts vetted, which is the pet peeve of mine.
Right. So that's why I think they say that search impacted news so much in that decade of 2000 to 2010. And then they said going forward in the next decade, of which we're now almost halfway through in 2014, the biggest influence that they predict is going to be the sharing, the social sharing of news.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these news stories, they just, they start with somebody on the scene sometimes witnessing something, and then suddenly everybody's talking about it. Like that earthquake that happened in the D.C. area is a good example of that.
Right. And you see how the news organizations are leveraging social media, that all reporters are now on social media. They're building their own following. They're sharing what they write. The newspapers are tweeting and blogging, and so the whole social thing is what is affecting how we find our news and what news we read.
Yeah, I know more reporters now than I ever have my whole career, and I'm not in PR, I'm, in marketing.
So that's that. And then the other side of it is this big sudden rise of visual content over the last maybe 18 months. It's interesting.
Yeah, I read this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was going to say the same thing you're probably about to say.
Well, it's interesting to me that the majority of people describe themselves as visual learners.
Yeah, the vast majority of people.
So that means that they get more out of it when they see it rather than they read it. Now, the web, until very recently, has been completely a text-based medium.
Right. We would like pepper graphics in some things, but then especially before broadband, you just didn't have the available bandwidth to get, images and video, and now it's totally different.
You remember sitting there with the little dial-up?
Oh, you're trying to make me tell my age? Is that what's happening right now?
No, and I'm just thinking about how long it took to download one little image.
It would take forever. Like you could just let a web page load and then go to something else and come back.
So it just wasn't possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know that when I was at, when I first heard about all this was in 1995, and I was at University of Paisley in Scotland, and they had an electronic development center project going on there where they were doing all kinds of visual stuff, and I was so amazed. I said, how are you doing this? Will we ever be able to do this? Because that was right in the middle of like no band, never mind broadband.
No band.
It's just no band. And they said, oh yeah, in about 15 years, everybody will be doing this. And here we are.
Did you think they were smoking crack?
I really did. I really did. I was like, this is astonishing.
There's no way. Right.
And so, but there are other things too, that this visual is making such an impact on the media, because any content with visuals in it is getting 94% more page visits and engagement.
I was shocked when you said that to me. I went and I vetted your numbers.
Me,
I usually trust you implicitly. I was like 94%. She's full of BS. And I went and I looked it up, and that not only is that true, but people, according to this, and I can't remember when the study was, but it was researched by Dan Zarella from when he was at HubSpot. If he's still there, I don't remember. That we process visuals 60,000 times faster in the brain than we do text. That is amazing.
It really is amazing.
It's really amazing, and yet, we create our content in such a text-based fashion, but we consume it in a visual fashion, and it's really, we have to close that gap.
Exactly so. So it's really interesting when you think about it from a media point of view.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that has changed the media landscape, being on the net, it was very compartmentalized before. A newspaper was a print medium.
Right.
You sent them something that they were going to print. It was text and maybe a photograph.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. You would never in your wildest dreams send a video to a newspaper. What would you do that for?
What would they use it
Yeah, they would
for?
think you were insane. Why would you send a piece of text to the TV station? You see what I mean? So it was very compartmentalized. You had certain things that you sent to different media. Now they're all online. They all have a website. They all use everything. Everybody wants video. Everybody wants images. Everybody wants text.
Yeah, I don't look at releases like when I do things for the publications that I edit. I don't look at things that don't have images. And I'm not even doing it on purpose. I've just noticed through my habits like, well, that one doesn't even have a picture. That's another hour of work for me. And I'll go to the next thing if it's not like breaking news or something like that.
Now, I've had the same feedback from many editors who tell me it is policy. They will not publish without visuals. And
it's
they're very
pointless.
picky.
No one will read it.
Yeah. See, they're very picky also about what image. You cannot get away with, oh, I have this great press release and this good news story. Oh, yeah, I need an image. That visual thing. Wait. Oh, yeah, I'll just take this stock image and slap it on there.
Nope. No.
They don't want that.
I have people even send me, you know, those pictures that you might send to a friend where you've cropped somebody out that you don't talk to or you don't know why they were standing there. People send that with their releases or pitches, and I'm just like, are you serious?
Yeah.
You want me to present this to my readers? I value them highly, so I only want to send the best things out. And then there's also thinking about how is it going to affect my brand relationship, whatever brand that I'm working with, if I send out a crappy photo. Those people will think to themselves, we don't mean to be judgmental, but we are. We're judgmental creatures, and we'll go, really? Hot Mama's Project couldn't do better than that? Web.com doesn't have anything better than this? They really think that, you know, a bad image just brings down the image of the publication. So, of course, editors have learned if the image sucks, you don't get points for having an image. It has to be a high-quality image.
Right. So they're taking all of this into account, the fact that people want more visuals, they respond to more visuals, they get more page visits, they get more time on site, they get more engagement, they get more clicks, and that's why they're doing all of this. So from our point of view, when we are working with the media and we're delivering content to the media, we absolutely have to take all of this into account. Search, visual, and sharing.
Yes,
and if you're not doing those, you're crazy.
I would agree with you there. And it's hard sometimes when you're thinking from the other perspective, you know, of the extra work that it takes, but it pays off so much.
Oh, totally. I know it is. It is work. It is a pain in the butt, but it really does pay off amazingly. And then you get into the other side of it, which is looking at your stats so that you can figure out what is working. I had a really good conversation with Katie Payne for about an hour yesterday on measuring newsrooms, and I'm going to be writing all that up as a blog post that will be out this week. So
I can't wait to see it. I don't know how you get so much stuff in your blog posts. I mean, I read them and then I'm like exhausted from all the work you have to do, and then like the action items in them. It's like, and I have to do the stuff that you recommend. I just feel like if I don't do what is on the proactive report, I'm going to be like 4 years behind where I'm supposed to be. But yeah.
So this is, you know, what we were just talking about, what the media wants. They want images that tell the story. They want infographics that help the reader to grasp complex data. Do you really think if you put 3 pages of complex data, anybody is going to read it? No. They're not. They're not going to look at it. But if you make a really cool, clever infographic, they will.
Yeah. And, you know, some people are getting, you know, a little bit exhausted with the infographic, but that's because they're always presented in the same format. You take a look at, when you have time, at the stuff that Open Forum does when they do the little reports that they do. Instead of always having that really big, long-form infographic, they also have ones that are kind of the size and shape of a slide in bed. So you don't always have to do infographics the same way. Just think about combining information into a graphical format and on a slide or an image that isn't all text.
Right.
How can you use pictures to tell the same story that you normally write out? I think is the key to it.
And on the video, I've heard this phrase from the media over and over again. When we have visuals, it can't just be a picture. What we need in the visual, image or video, is it must extend and enhance the story.
Absolutely.
So if you can think with that, that kind of changes the flow, your workflow, in fact. Instead of writing the press release and then going, oh, what picture can I put with this?
Right.
You have to start the other way around and go, how can I tell the story visually that will really give the viewer more insight, give them more of the story? Think of that extend and enhance. And then when you've got that, then you can write the press release and it will all work out.
Yeah, I've learned that from watching some of the blog posts of my peers and how it's gone from one image and then a whole bunch of text to an image with every time you need to use a header. And I think that works a lot better and it holds the reader's interest a lot longer, so it makes sense that you want to send better images to go with your press releases and more than one if they're relevant.
Right, right. Okay. So I'm now going to give you guys a little sneak peek.
Ooh, this is my favorite part.
Every year, Pressfeed does this annual online newsroom survey. We send out a survey questions to the media and to PR and marketing people, and that part is out there and it's being, people have got the surveys and we're collecting the answers. But we also do an actual eyes-on evaluation of 300 corporate newsrooms. The Fortune 100, 100 of the Fortune 500, and 100 of the Inc. 500. So
that's a lot.
It is a lot. It's a lot to look at. Believe me, by the time you get to the end of it, my eyes are crossed and they all look the same to me. But it's really, really interesting. So let's look at the Fortune 100. This is not all the data that will be in the final report, but this is our, this is the quick and dirty that I've just got so far.
Yeah.
And they have all been done. I just haven't really looked at it all, checked it all, gone through it all, whatever.
Oh, so these are the highlights. You haven't put it together into a report yet.
No,
okay.
No, that it comes out in November at the Society for New Communication Research Symposium in Boston.
Except for us, right? We're going to get,
you'll get it.
Everything like the day before, right?
Yes, you'll get it.
Okay.
So Fortune 100, 96% of them have a newsroom. I can't even believe that there are 4 of the Fortune 100 who don't even have a newsroom.
I was just going to ask you, who are the 4 people? Like, do they sell jet engine parts or something?
I don't know. They're just silly. But the really tragic part is that less than 30% of them have, it's 29% of them, it's all text.
Why do you think that is? Are they just behind the times, or do you think that they're on the side of, oh, it should be a digital content hub, listening to kind of the SEO
because they don't have that. They have no other content hub. This is it.
Wow.
They have no image gallery, no video gallery, no blog, no nothing. They actually still on the ox wagon.
So how are they staying in the Fortune 100? I'm just kidding. They have these advertising budgets, so they have these other options for things to do. But
they do.
If you don't have this set up, especially it matters a lot more for the medium-sized businesses and the small businesses too, because, you have to fill that gap between advertising and the person who comes to your site or your store or your business with that trust gap. And that trust gap can't be filled with just advertising alone.
No.
So you have to do things like a newsroom, and you have to have digital and video. I'm shocked to hear that there's 4 in the Fortune 500 who don't even have a newsroom.
These newsrooms are old. They were set up a long time ago. And the other side of this, which you'll see, if you look at last year's report, which is on the Pressfeed newsroom, the 2013 report from November last year is there. And you look at the difference in the answers between the media and the PR marketing people. So the question, one of the questions is, how important is it to have visuals with news? And all the journalists and the editors, it's like, yeah, totally,
I remember that.
And then the answers that came back from the PR and the marketing people was, yeah, that's okay, some of it, we do it sometimes.
Right. If I have an image, I'll send it, but, if there isn't one, yeah.
This is really the problem. The chasm is that PR and marketing people don't really have this viewpoint. what we've just been talking about,
Yeah.
the need for visual and search and sharing and this visual content hub, it just, that somehow it's not there. They don't have that viewpoint.
It's funny because, you know, when you go online and you think about what captures your attention,
yeah,
or if you sit here right now and try to remember the last great thing that you saw online, I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, a video or an image just popped into your mind. Mm-hmm. It's never like, I was reading this paragraph, let me recite it to you verbatim. It does not happen. It doesn't happen.
So only 22% of the Fortune 100 are using visuals on individual press releases. I am encouraged that 61% now have sharing options at least.
Oh, finally.
Yeah. Over 90% have LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, but only 22% are linking their social content from their newsroom.
That's odd.
So you go to their newsroom and there's maybe a Facebook and a Twitter if you're lucky. But when you go and look, they've got LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, they have the whole bunch.
That's so annoying. When I'm trying to share something, I want to give credit to whatever source it was, not just because I'm supposed to be a good person. It's really a matter of convenience so that I can go back to that same place and find more stuff later when I have more time.
Right.
And be able to, you know, if I want to argue points of the article or if I want to reference something, I know where to go. And if it's not on that same page when I go to share, half the time, sometimes without even meaning to, I'll go off and do something else and forget. But if the sharing buttons aren't there, I don't share, you know? It has to be really spectacular for me to share it, and you don't have the button on the page.
Right. And just in terms of their own social content, many reporters and editors have said to me, we're under so much pressure right now, I don't have time to go and look to see if you have a Pinterest account or a YouTube account.
Especially if it's breaking news or something, you know, they don't have time to be a detective.
Right.
Either all the information is there or you've missed an opportunity and we'll never even know.
Right.
Because it's not like they're going to call you up and go, you know, this probably would be on the front page if I could have found your Twitter button. Nobody does that, you know.
And then 23% of them have optimized their news content for search.
Oh, boo, only 23%?
I know. It's a little bit up from last year, but not a huge amount.
That's good.
So then into the Fortune 500, 98% have a newsroom. They're a little better. 38% are text only. 10% only using visuals. 42% have social sharing buttons. 90% of them all have the major accounts, and only 14% are linking to their own social content from their newsroom. So again, they have all the social content out there, but they ain't telling anyone.
Right. So it's almost like everybody's just doing everything tactically without actually putting it into a plan like, oh, social's great, let's do social. It does not work like that. You have to know what you want to get out of it, or else how do you know that you've met your goal?
Right.
You know, and 100,000 Facebook fans, that is not a goal. That is just a cute vanity thing to have to make you feel better in your mind. That is pure ego. You know, how many of those 100,000 people signed up to your list or did anything other than click like?
Yeah, that was one of the things that I was talking to Katie about yesterday, is that...
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, there's this big thing about PR measurement, and it's measurement week this week, and...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's measurement week, so everyone's having the big argument, and then about, do you still do add value equivalency, or do you still count clips, or what is it you should be measuring? And Katie's viewpoint is it's engagement, it's action. What did they do?
Yeah, I think reach is relevant to tell you how big your market is, but reach is not, you know, something that you submit to say, we reached our goal because our reach was 3 million people. If only 6 of those 3 million people are paying attention, reach has no, you know,
well,
it has no meaning. But if you're looking at, okay, last week or last time we did say this Twitter chat or this webinar, our reach was this, and we've reached more of that pie. okay, I can see you monitoring reach. But most of the time, I think that she's right, or at least she's onto something, that you have to be looking at what actions were taken, because then you can go to that point of data and see if you can backtrack to figure out what inspired that action so you can keep doing it.
Exactly. So let's go to the smaller privately owned companies, Inc. 500. Now, I would think, this is just my personal thing, if you are one of the fastest growing privately owned companies in the United States, you might want the media to know who you are.
Possibly. I mean, you know, wouldn't hurt.
No. Now, you're concerned about 90% of these others. Only 78% of these Inc. 500 have a newsroom at all. And
no, I mean, I understand if you're like a one-person company, but you should still have that area or a separate website that talks about that. But to be in the Inc. 500 and not have a newsroom, do you want press coverage at all, or do you think it's going to happen magically?
Yeah.
I wonder.
And then almost 3/4 of them are text only.
Yikes.
Yeah. Only 8% are using visuals on their individual press releases.
Oh, come on, that's a typo.
No. 12% have social sharing buttons. These Inc. 500 guys obviously have not heard any of the data we spoke about at the beginning of this webinar.
But some of it is common sense. It's not just about data. Some of this is just like, are you thinking with your brain? I think, you know, everybody on this call who's, you know, encountered me before knows how much I harp on things like this. And if honestly, if you are including your visuals right now and you're here to learn about what you can do better, pat yourself on the back, because look, this is your competition and they're not doing it. If you do better, you can sail right past them. Who knows?
All right. So this is what these old newsrooms look like.
Wow. Yeah, I wouldn't even pause there.
No,
I would think that that is something.
That's a Fortune 100, by the
way.
way. That's a Fortune 100.
Oh, how sweet of you to blur out their name.
Yes. And so is that one. This one is in the food industry. Is there anything more enticing with food than you need pictures? I mean, look at Instagram.
On.
Instagram is
we
covered.
Take pictures of our own food.
Right.
Like, I'm guilty of this. I've had food brought to me and will, oh, this is so pretty. This presentation is so nice. And I take a picture. My friends are like, can you stop doing that? And then here's a site where I would have loved to look through their pictures of their food and just nothing? Really? Nothing?
Nothing.
That's a shame.
Nothing, nothing. Not even in the side. There isn't an image gallery. There's a nothing. So this is a Fortune 500. Lo and behold, they're in PDFs.
Press Center.
Not only is it all text, when you want to click on it, it's going to be a PDF, so it's going to be totally useless to you.
Right, because I can't cut and paste from your PDF with your, and I'm sure they did all the security stuff because, yeah, when you want to spread something, it's super important for it to be secure so nobody can use it.
Exactly.
Just logic.
Now, look at this one. This is Fuhu.
This is pretty.
Fuhu is the #1 on the Inc. 500 this year.
Are they?
Yeah. They
this
just
is pretty.
leapt out from, no, this is not their newsroom.
This is their homepage.
This is their website. This is their homepage. This is what they do. They do content for kids on laptops for kids.
It has so much personality.
Okay.
Please tell me that their newsroom is also pretty. It breaks my heart right now. No. What is this?
That's Fuhu's newsroom.
Come on, man. Do they at least have pretty individual press release? Oh,
nothing. Now, when you have a brand like this and you are so image rich and your brand culture is so cute and appealing, why on earth would you not put it into all your news content?
It's embarrassingly inconsistent.
So those are just the kind of things. So online newsroom versus digital content hub. Yes, if this is your online newsroom, I would advise you to kill it immediately.
I was just going to say, because I was hoping to come here to, you know, play some devil's advocate and just argue with you, because it would be great publicity that we fought online, and there's a recording of it. But I have to say, if this is the newsroom, no wonder a lot of my peers are saying digital content hub, because this is just bad. This is, you might as well not have anything up at all.
So, yes, you do need a digital content hub. In my opinion, it should be your newsroom. They should be one and the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you want all of the things in the hub to be shareable, why wouldn't they be the same tool? Especially if the reason why you're doing the digital content hub is to have your news and publicity shared. I mean, yes, the language and the way you put things across may be different than how you would in a blog, but I can't see why you wouldn't. Are you going to be able to show them a little bit how the newsroom works? Because, I mean, you and I have been working together, and we began working together because I was a fan of your newsroom.
Right.
But it's not just SEO friendly without being, without looking like it was made for robots. It's also image rich. Look at this big picture right in the middle, right when you get there. I want to read that article.
Right.
If for nothing else, to see if the number on the Social Security card is showing, because I'm obsessed with details like that. But yeah, I mean, and oh, well, look at this.
But now these guys are a very staid, as you know, Tinu,
yes, because I work with you on them.
Down financial institution.
Yes. So if you have a company where
you say, "Oh no, we can't do it," excuse me, you actually can.
Yes, you can. Even if you have a topic where you are restricted by an oversight agency that keeps you from being able to talk about certain things in real time, you can still do this.
Right.
You just need somebody to work on the strategy with you. Press feed.
This is the press feed one. Okay. And one of the things,
and this is where the old, well, not old, but the 2013 report is?
Yes.
Okay.
It's here under the press feed news, the last one down the center. You'll see there's a little image with a kind of an orange and gray man. That's the 2013 report right there.
Because I read it, but I didn't remember one of the things you said today.
So we have this featured story which has the big picture. And we have an image gallery and a video gallery, and every story has the thumbnail of the picture. Every story has a picture with it. And one other thing, which I'm not sure how well you can see it, but at the bottom on the left as you're looking at it, there's now a section for an expert database.
Ooh, neat.
Which was requested by the media. Yeah.
And so it makes it easier for people to be able to figure out who to call in the organization to get quotes and things like that.
Right.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about SEO. So when you search this company's name, their site comes up and their newsroom comes up next.
Yes, and I work on this project, so I also want to say the web page comes up first, then the newsroom, then all of the other pages of their site. Sometimes the newsroom beats out the primary link, even though our strategy is usually to have it come up second.
And then when you put the full name in, David Lerner Associates, Inc., you'll see it breaks it out. And you have here the latest news on investment and retirement.
Yeah, it's set up so, if you like to get those site links for your site, I found that the newsroom is very helpful in getting you to be able to achieve that. I know a lot of people are obsessed with how come Google won't give me the site links. Well, sometimes your data has to be structured a certain way, and if your site also has to be structured a certain way. If you have a newsroom, it's already set up like that, so you don't have to worry about actually trying to do it yourself. It's already search compliant. I really enjoy it as a tool.
Right. And so that was Google. Here you can see it in Bing. They're doing the same thing. So if you guys have questions, I'm going to open up my little question tab and see if you have anything that you want to ask to me or to Tinu. Please just into the, let me see, there is one here. They always are so tiny. I find it hard to.
Yeah, I don't know why this print on everything has to be minuscule, okay? I can't see. I'm old. Come on, man. But while we're looking for questions, and please, if you do have a question, it doesn't matter how simple or complex it is, submit it. If we can't answer it during the call, we'll get with you later. I'm sure Sally and I can put together a conference call and try to walk you through whatever your issue is. I offered a door prize to everybody who stayed through the end of the presentation. I'm going to give it to Sally, and she's going to send it out. It's my visual content marketing cheat sheet and a couple of tips on how to optimize your newsroom if you decide to use Sally's solution, which is press feed. There's some neat things that the software does that some people who, once it's all set up, once Sally packages everything, they don't realize there's more they can do on individual items, and so I'll send you a couple of tips on that, along with some stuff to help you cheat on getting your visual content marketing done faster, because we really do need to include all of our visuals with all of the stuff. I know it's an extra step, and I tell you, I resisted for like a year. I would make temps that I was working with or virtual assistants do my graphics because I hated it. But I started to come around because of the results. You just cannot argue with the results.
So I have one question, and they just wanted us to clarify, what do you mean by linking to their social content? So what I mean by that is, let me go back up here maybe. So if you see on this slide here on our press feed newsroom, right here on the top left, we have the Facebook, the blog, the Twitter, and the YouTube. Now if you click those, it will take you directly to Pressfeed's accounts on those social platforms. So that's our Facebook,
so you don't have to go around
our Twitter. So if a reporter comes here and they want to know if we have videos, the YouTube is right there. All they have to do is click it. It'll take them to our YouTube channel straight away. Then you'll get
people think it's not important,
yeah.
But they don't have time. The time is not on their side. If the button is not there for them to click, they are not going to look at your videos, period. That's point blank. It's not going to happen. There's also, you can't see it here, but on the individual pieces, there's also the same voting buttons where they apply. I think you also added Google Plus. Oh, there's the block right there.
Yeah, here it is, the one to share.
Yeah.
So this is for sharing. And then the top one is your own social content.
Yeah.
And then the other one says tell others. So if you like the one that you're on, you can just click and it'll put it on your Google Plus. It'll tweet for you, whatever. And it's really quick and easy because when you click it, it fills in that tweet already. It says this was the article I wanted to share and here's the link.
Yeah. Okay, so we're done with questions?
Yeah, I just have to see.
So we only have the one question. Is anybody else?
No, I have some more if I just can figure it out. Hold on one second.
Because I have a surprise for people who ask questions, the next three people.
So that was Michelle. What do you mean by... Is this a share button? No, okay, so we covered that. It's not the share button. The share button is separate.
Yeah.
Do you have research on how... Look at this stuff. This little thing is so tiny. On how the need for added visual has affected time management allocation in terms of doing media relations. I can only tell you how it's affected mine. As Tina did say, it does take more time. It certainly does take more time, but I do see with all our clients that are doing it, they are seeing the results and they are getting better results and better pickup. So yes, time management, it is taking more time in order to find the right pictures, make the videos, but it actually isn't that difficult. We do we do visual content training workshops, and we've trained many PR teams to be able to produce a press release with a good original image and a good little like 1 minute 30 video in an hour and get it out.
Wow, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, what I do, one of the things that I do is I plan my content management calendar in advance whenever I can, and that's when I start looking for images. And I also have, a list of places where I can cheat, like if I can't find a good picture for this, what will I do? There's tools I can use like Canva, which is on this list that I'm going to send you, or rather that Sally is going to send you for me, that will allow me to put words in, very easily put words into a graphic. I actually, even though it wasn't that great, I actually made one for this call that we're on right now. I didn't have a lot of time to put it together, so it's not by any means perfect, but I got a lot more results this time as far as people just showing up than the last time Sally and I spoke together, where a lot of people were enthusiastic about attending it, but then forgot. And then, a lot of my peers, I have a couple of peers on the line right now. Ify is here. I think Helen is here. And I said to some of them that, reminding them, Helen is here, reminding them that I was going to be doing this today. Jim McBride, hi, how are you? And they remembered the flyer that I made, even though it wasn't as good as some of the headlines I came up with. Like I joked how Sally and I were going to fight a SEO versus PR battle, and then also admitted that's a joke. We're not really going to fight. And it's amazing how much that the visual impacts just somebody going from, hey, this looks interesting, to actually attending an event. So if it works for that, it's going to work for other things. Most of the data, though, isn't on the time management side. It's on the images brought more results side. But, maybe that's a good study to do.
So part of that question was also, do we know whether there are more people now on the team, or is one person expected to do this? Well, I think that's going to depend on your institution, your company, your budget.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen some teams that have been expanded. We went to train a team in Texas a couple of months ago, and they now do have an expanded team with video people and graphic artists, which they didn't have before. But I also know that there are many, and just like the reporters, in fact, I have to tell you that the reporters are in the same position that we're in.
Yes.
You know that many of the reporters have been laid off. We've got fewer reporters in the U.S. now than we had in the 1970s.
Wow.
Yeah, we've lost
I hadn't heard that figure.
More than a third of the reporters have been laid off.
Ouch.
Now they're doing things like laying off the videographers and the photographers, and then saying to the reporter, yeah, well, you need to come back with the story, a recorded interview, a video, and some photographs. What's wrong with you? You have a camera, you've got a phone, get with it.
Right. With no staff. Just do it all by
Just
yourself
don't
with
do
your
it.
iPhone.
That's one of the reasons why, if you can do this and supply everything to the media, you're going to be their very best friend, because they're in the same situation. They're desperate for visual content, but they don't have the resources anymore. So if you become a trusted resource and you can supply them with really good stuff, you're going to get more of your stuff used.
Yeah, that relationship is key, and if you can't make it yourself, yes, hire a PR company that has that relationship already. Right. That's part of what you're buying, is their ability to be your liaison between the media and you. I know a lot of people think that, they question the dollars they put into PR, but, if you look at the results that come out of the other side, if you're patient and you work within a strategy, I mean, you really just can't beat it. Almost exclusively, the clients that I take, especially on the higher end, are people who are working with a PR company, because there's a huge gap in the knowledge if you're not doing it. You can get started on your own, though, because there are tools like PressFeed out there.
So Penelope wants to know, she says she likes linking to news videos, but is it legal? So as long as you mention them and you link to them, and if they have put it onto YouTube, then you can embed it, but you certainly can link to a news video. They don't mind if you send traffic to them. If you do something like take that video and put it on your newsroom or your blog, you're then going to be in violation of copyright.
That's a good question.
I had a client a couple of years ago who was mentioned by Oprah. And of course, this was the biggest thing that had ever happened to them. If you remember, she did that camping trip with Gail, and they were making Moscow mules.
They were making what?
Moscow mules. It's Oprah's favorite cocktail.
I'm going to look that up.
It's made with ginger beer. And so they were using this guy's natural ginger soda that he makes. And it was on Oprah, and it was very clear the brand was there. They saw it, and so he was so excited he could hardly contain himself that his brand was being used by Oprah, that he took this video and put it on their news site, and they very quickly, I said to them, you can't do this. No, he said, we're on Oprah. And right quick came the letter, cease and desist, get it down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't mind the links, but sometimes you do have to look at what are their terms. If a good sign is if they're not giving you the ability to embed the video, stand down.
Right. So here's a really good question. I see RSS feeds in this newsroom. Why are they there? What do they do? And are they helpful? Well,
okay. Oh, yeah. You go first, and then I'll go. Okay.
Well, I
was going to say. You were going to say?
Yeah, I'll shut up. You go.
The case for RSS being like this great thing that was going to help us organize the web, that part of it is kind of gone. But the RSS feeds, they take the essential part of what it is that you've written about, well, all of what you've written about, and then they, in the RSS code, if you ever open one up and look at it, it adds certain markers to that data to make it easier for other machines and web robots to read what is in your article and categorize it correctly, so that if they want to see if the author on two similar pieces is the same, they can find that. If they want to organize in their database by topic or tag, they can do that. So nowadays, the RSS feeds are more, some people still use them for subscribing, including myself, but mostly marketers. But the great thing about them, these buttons, is that if you click them, you can also subscribe by email. The RSS feeds, though, are essential there for machines to be able to talk to each other, and not just, you know, you being linked to or linked from a blog post. More like being able to have your updated remotely in another database, more like you being able to, I just had a really good example, use the RSS feed to partly automate your newsletter, for example. So it also, the way the information is formatted in the feed is also easier for, you know, sites like Google and Bing to spider and use. And of course, anything that you can do to make it easier on the search engines is a good thing. I think I'll stop there.
The other side of it is that the one group of people that still uses RSS feeds to organize their data is reporters.
Oh, very true.
And when Google killed Google Reader, the biggest backlash was from the media.
Oh, yes.
They said, excuse me, how do you think we're supposed to read all the stuff we're supposed to read every day? Every journalist that I know still uses an RSS reader.
No, absolutely. I have, I have those contacts at CNN,
Right.
And they're in the, most of them are in the leading women section because I've been in their column a couple of times, and they've requested, that I rally the community, for women's leadership to do certain things to support certain projects. And once I noticed that if I sent her a tweet, or if I sent her or if I updated my RSS feed, she would know things that I had done or been doing that were available by RSS without us having to have a conversation. But if I send her an email, she may or may not ever in life read it, you know.
Right.
And if she did, I was not going to get a same-day reply. So I actually started using a tool to have just an RSS feed just for her for things like I have a contact that, you know, knows somebody from this big story that's out, and she, you know, is so happy about it. So I can attest to that thing about the RSS feeds. Sometimes I use them more than even email, which surprises me, but
Yeah.
apparently it's true for a lot of them.
And another question is, how can nonprofits use visuals to increase engagement around their cause? One of the examples I would suggest that you have a look at is the Fresh Air Fund. They do blogger outreach, and all the content that they give to the bloggers is put in a social digital content hub similar to this one. And they work on the premise that the more visual and information and assets you can give to bloggers, the more result you're going to get. Because it works the same with the media. If you send one press release, no image, or one image, that's all they have to pick from. And they know that everyone else is going to have the same thing to pick from. But if you have an image gallery or a old-fashioned, what we used to call a press kit around a cause or an event, and you can create those so that you have 3 or 4 things: the fact sheet, the people involved, all the images, a whole bunch of images, videos, put the embed code there so that all they have to do, this is like spoon feeding. All I have to do is go copy, paste, copy, paste. So on the Fresh Air Fund, before the summer comes every year, they do a big push to find people who will take these inner city kids for a summer vacation and get them out of the city and into the country. And so they're looking for families and homes. And what they do is they do this huge push out into the media and to the bloggers asking for families, and they do it by telling the stories of the kids and the wins that they had the previous year. So let's say I'm a blogger that's particularly interested in teenage girls. If I come to the story and there's only a picture of young boys, I'm not going to blog about it. But if there were 10 pictures and one of them showed a bunch of teenage girls and there were a couple of success stories around that, that's what I'm going to blog about. You may have a completely different interest, and there would be something there that you could take and you could blog about. And they found that the more assets that they put in their newsroom, the more media coverage they got and the more families they got calling in.
Yeah, I can see how that would be true. Sometimes I have to go out and look up information for a story or look up information on assignment I want to give one of the writers. And if they have a newsroom that has visuals, I tend to poke around more. And sometimes the story I was going to write grows or changes. And I'll find other things to say, okay, this is actually more relevant to us. So let's mention this, or it'll turn into 2 stories. So that can be extremely helpful.
So in terms of
any more questions?
The previous question about whether you should learn these new skills, she was just saying she's seen in Canada a lot of jobs asking for all these skills. Yes, we do see that here in the US as well.
Yeah.
Anyone who's in PR, just starting or wanting to make sure that their job is not going to go away, I would say the biggest thing that you could do is learn to do this. Become a digital PR specialist.
Social? Yeah.
Social, visual. It's not hard. I have learned to do a little bit of HTML, just enough. I do not want to be a programmer, I promise you. I have less
but
than
enough
no
to keep
interest.
you out of trouble.
Just enough that if I have to make a link, I can make the goddamn link.
Right.
I know how to use PicMonkey forwards and backwards. I didn't want to learn to do Photoshop.
No, I mean, if I want a really nice, high-quality graphic, I am going to find a designer and pay them to do it.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
That's the business. And for those of us who have these smaller, companies that are less than 5 people and don't have like a whole department to do that, it's still important to do all of this work. It is worth it. And, there's places that you can go to find affordable, high-quality graphics. And sometimes it's just as simple as finding out who in your network used to work in graphic design and is looking for work right now. You give them $50, $100, and they make, a spectacular, thing for you that you might have had to pay more for working with a full-time designer. So there's ways to get around some of the issues that'll come up for the much, much smaller companies.
And there's Odesk, and there's Fiverr. I have found a wonderful,
Yes.
I mean, it's a little bit of a trial and error, I'll admit.
And it's a little bit more work than, just doing it yourself, but the product is often better, yeah.
I found a wonderful girl on Fiverr who does infographics for me.
Lovely.
And
yeah, I found one of my
it's not for
search
$5.
there.
I have to pay her $20, but you know what? $20 is really worth it for a good infographic.
No, it really is, because you got to think of how many places are going to publish it, all of the links you're going to get back, And right. If you make a really you have to take the time to make a really attractive infographic. Any minute now, somebody's going to make, if they haven't already, a parody site of just bad infographics, because there are so many out there. So don't think that you're just going to make any infographic. You have to make it visually appealing, or people are not going to view it.
Right. The name of the nonprofit I suggested you take a look at is called the Fresh Air Fund. And my blog question is, say the blog again, proactivereport.com. I'll type it in here in the chat. And I think we're out of time anyway.
Yeah, we're 3 minutes over, I think.
Yeah, well, we started a little bit late. Thanks, very useful. Thank you. We appreciate your thanks and the fact that you did. Will we be posting the slides? It's being videoed, and the whole thing will be up in the Pressfeed newsroom in like 3 or 4 days.
Oh, but are you going to post the slides separately as well so that they can click on, links that are in it?
Yes, I will post the slides on SlideShare today. And then I send the video to Joel, and he has to do his little magic on it.
Editing, gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for attending. And
yeah, thanks a lot. And what about your prizes and your things?
Oh, everybody who you got a record of everyone who submitted a question, right?
I do.
Okay, I'm going to send them some Starbucks coffee, $5 a Starbucks for all you guys.
Okay.
And for everybody who attended and stayed to the end, I do have that cheat sheet that I'm going to forward to Sally, and it'll come with the link to the replay and everything.
All right. Terrific.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and thank you for having me, Sally. This was fun.
Pleasure. It was great fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always better with you. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.